just to give you an overview about Bahrain. Bahrain is a small island in the Arabian Gulf near the east coast of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia with a population of 1.5 million people, half of which are expats. Of course, due to the large proportion of expats in the country, Bahrain has been ranked as the #1 country in the world, as a matter of fact, for to live and work in. So that is based on expats that have been surveyed to see the quality of life around the world. So Bahrain might be small in size, but it's big in its vision, its ambition for innovation, learning, economic development, which has surpassed other countries in the MENA region. So Bahrain has been ranked as the number 2 country in the MENA region for the ease of doing business, and that is also combined with the strong and talented caliber that make up the robust labor market, which has also placed Bahrain as one of the leading countries for human capital development. So with us today is the main contributors to the entrepreneurship ecosystem. So we have Tamkeen, the Economic Development Board, and the Ministry of Industry Commerce here with us. And we have 2 amazing entrepreneurs and success stories who will shed light in terms of their journey and their experience forming their businesses in the Kingdom of Bahrain. So without further delay, we'll just go and watch a really quick video about entrepreneurship in the Kingdom, and then we'll start hearing from our speakers. So.
In Bahrain is to awaken early, pursuit of your dreams, to be the first one in and the last one out, to draw energy from your faith in your goal.
He has to have a vision and decision. And this does not come by himself, but he has to have a lot of experience.
To apply your creativity to the things around you and make them beautiful. And be flexible to handle difficult situations and overcome challenges.
Starting a business might not be an easy task, but if you're passionate and if you believe in what you do, that's easy.
Entrepreneurship is doing your best to ensure that your project is growing on the right path.
الالتزام والإخلاص والإصرار هو أهم شيء يؤدي إلى النجاح.
Entrepreneurs are brave, confident, and persistent individuals who can see success ahead of them.
What keeps me going on a daily basis is my passion and my determination.
Entrepreneurship is to look forward to the future with stimulating ideas, to be aware of the needs of others, and primed to turn their dreams into reality.
I think when someone's starting a new business, the most important thing is that they're 100% behind their idea.
You have to believe in yourself and you have to believe in what you are doing in order to start.
When people tell you that your idea is bad, I don't think you should always go for their advice. You should believe in yourself and move forward.
How do entrepreneurs get inspired? Creators are aware that inspiration is everywhere around us. Some derive their passion from their favorite hobbies. Some find inspiration in trying to answer questions and meet challenges.
Passion drives any kind of venture. So my advice is to be passionate and never give up.
We live in an age of opportunities. All we have to do is seize our opportunity to step out of the familiar. From this kind and generous land, our beloved kingdom of Bahrain, Bahrain has always sought success in the far reaches of the earth and the deep sea, and they traded with the markets of the world. Pioneers of business and knowledge, key players in prosperity, founders of a fast-growing civilization, inspired by wise leadership and the willpower of ambition
Of course, as much as we want to enlighten you with a bit of information about the entrepreneurship ecosystem, we also want this session to be interactive. So hopefully we'll have time at the end of the session for questions. And as much as we wanna talk, also we wanna hear from you, maybe your suggestions, even questions that you have for us. So first up, we'll ask Sheikh Rashid Khalifa to join us up here. He is the managing director of Peninsula Farms. So we'll ask you first to talk to us more about your organization, and then we can ask you further questions.
Thank you, Aida. Thank you very much. This is interesting. All right. Which way do I speak? This way, that way? There it is. You got to keep it relatively straight. All right. Well, thank you all for being here. It's really an honor to allow me to speak to you guys today and speak about Peninsula Farms and the success story that we went through.
I want to wear it.
Should I wear it? I'll pop it on. All right. Is that how you do it? Is it a fancy thing? All right. Oh, other way. Okay. Set me up. All right. All right. Now it's a lot better, isn't it? Is it better now? Not much better. I look cooler, but it's not a lot better. Right? But I look good though, right? All right. That's why I came here, to make sure that everything looks good. I don't think this is better. Let me just hold on to it. Let me just get it real in there so you guys can see. Okay, so the really amazing part about Bahrain is all the opportunities that are available to a business like our business or like any other business. This is going to be very fun throughout the day. Because it really can't go any closer. I have to be honest. There's really no way. Like you guys can see, right? It's impossible. So when we started our business, agriculture is something that is truly very complicated in the Middle East. I mean, we're sitting there trying to figure out how to grow products throughout the year and distribute them all around Bahrain. But to find that there are organizations that were there to support us throughout all the stages that we required support. From the Ministry of Interior and Commerce to be able to help us set up all the different activities and all the different things that we needed with all the organizations in the government sector was very, very critical. EDB supporting us, linking us with the outside world and what is available and can get all the way to Bahrain. And obviously, I cannot forget about Tamkeen, who has been there from the very beginning of the farm, supporting us from everything from marketing and banners to solar panels and renewable energy. It's truly a very inspiring thing to know that Bahrain is there for all types of businesses. So let me tell you very quickly about Peninsula Farms. Peninsula Farms started in 2012 as a hydroponic farm. So it's very important for us that we're sustainable and we use as little water and as little resources as possible. And the goal of the company was to strengthen the food security of our country. Food security is a critical part of everything that we have to watch out for. I mean, we're an island and we depend on products imported, but not anymore. Now we have products all around Bahrain. This way, try that way, try this way. How about I speak really loud and you guys can hear me? Yeah, because I can do that. Yeah. Most of my days is spent talking to goats and sheep, so this is not a problem. So when we started at the farm, we had to understand what was important. First and foremost, one of our biggest challenges was understanding the market and understanding that the market wasn't used to local products being of high quality. The good stuff was important. And Bahrain had to strengthen the image of a local product. That's where Tamkeen came in from the very beginning to support us in branding and marketing and getting the image and the idea out that a local product can be just as good as an imported product. After that, the real difficulties of getting the technology together to be able to grow through extreme temperatures in the desert with extreme climates and be able to grow consistently. No one wants a product for just a few months. We're in an era now that if we're eating a fruit and it's not the season of the fruit, no one knows that. No one recognizes that. Bahrainis do, however, know about dates. We understand dates. Someone is eating a date in the wintertime, we're like, where'd you get that? That's not fresh.
the strawberry, no one seems to worry about that, right? I'm pretty sure that's not fresh either. You know, an average apple has been harvested 10 months before you get it in the supermarket. 10 months is the average. There's some that are more, and there's some that are less. Having a product be readily available to you when it was harvested right to your plate is something that we take for granted. So at Peninsula Farms, we wanted to share that information and have people realize that a product can be fresh and can be delivered right to your door. Now, the global ecosystem of Bahrain for a business like mine is something that I cannot praise it enough. Coming in with an agricultural, from the agricultural side and all the different things that are necessary to form a business is not a simple task. But to be able to find all the necessary partners, to be able to build our business up and get rewarded for it, even acknowledged for it in winning the Sustainability Award in 2017, is truly an honor and I think a praise to the ecosystem available to start a business. Now, whether it's an agricultural business like mine or another kind of business, and there are a lot of kind of businesses, the most important part of the whole thing is that you know what you're doing, and you are passionate about what you're doing, and you know what's available to you in the market. The biggest issue is when you don't know what's out there. And Bahrain this group right here is here to tell us that they are out there, and all you have to do is get to them, and it's not a hard thing to do. Bahrain is not a big place. I can find it. I can get it. And if you can't find them, come find me. I'm in the farm. And then I'll take you. So, I just wanted to quickly run through that, talk about the farm real quick. I thank you for your time, and I hope that everyone else gets you all the information you need to find Bahrain a hub for development. Thank you very much.
I think I'll be doing the same as well, but maybe with a lot more effort, so you can all hear me. Thank you, Sheikh Rashid, for the introduction.
I don't have to shout.
We'll ask now Ahmed Janahi if you can come up here and give us a bit of insight in terms of what Tamkeen is, its objective, and its main flagship initiatives that support entrepreneurship in specific.
Thank you, Aida. I think I'm loud enough. Am I? Can you hear me, guys, in the back? All right. Generally, I'm loud. So God helps you with that. I was thinking when Rashid was speaking where to start from. Should I talk about Tamkeen or should I talk about where did the entire story start from? And I'll do that exactly. So what sparked the change in Bahrain? By the end of the 90s, our current king assumed the power and he became the king of Bahrain. He came with a vision, he came with a dream. And his dream was to make Bahrain #1 for years to come. And to do that, we have to see where Bahrain was back then. Bahrain had 16% of unemployment rate. We were doing good compared to the region, but that was not the plan. The plan was to create something to compete globally. So we had to do a reform project. Just like the other countries, Saudi and other countries in the region, the private sector depends a lot on the government. The private sector waits for the government subsidies because we are supposed to be oil countries, right? So we need to do something different. So the vision of the king was to help the private sector to become the engine of the economy and help Bahrainis to compete better in the global employment market. Today, 2017, our unemployment rate, it was 16 or 17% back then, is 3.8%. And that happened in those 15 years. That's one. And we today have an ecosystem. We have an entity that's responsible of somewhat planning the economic entire reform, and that Patiza will be speaking about. We have a much better regulatory system, and probably Sheikha will be speaking about. And Tamkeen, and I'll shed some light on that, what Tamkeen is. So the word Tamkeen in Arabic means empowerment or enablement. What does that mean? The idea was to help the private sector to become the engine of the economy, right? And to help Bahrainis to become a better choice in the labor market. So we created a pool of fund, and the role of that fund was to invest money in the private sector. So companies like Rashid Al Khalifa, Peninsula Farms, who came earlier and talked, he needs, these days, yesterday we were talking about energy source. He needs somewhat energy source for his farm because it's far in the desert. To help him with that, he needs to spend a lot. So Tamkeen, the fund, subsidized that by 50% of the cost. And that's not only for Bahrainis. Any company that comes from anywhere in the world, Tunisia, Saudi, or anywhere in the world, in Europe, for example, or America, we can do the same to them. That's one. They need to employ some Bahrainis, right? They need to employ a cheap labor would be a good attraction, right? A skilled cheap labor. Tamkeen can support with subsidizing 70% or up to 70% of the cost or salaries of Bahraini employees, plus 100% of the budget you need to train them as well. That's just small part or small portion of what we do in Tamkeen. Again, we're here to enable the private sector to actually become the engine of the economy. Today we're happy. We don't have issues with females employment. They are almost 1/3 of the labor force in Bahrain. We are the first country in the region back in the 1920s to start female education. And we're the first country to start education in general. And we're happy that Bahrain is not a single country in the world entirely. We work with the entire region. We're very close to Saudi, we're very close to UAE, and we're very close to other countries. Bahrain is a tiny country. The market might be small, but it's not just Bahrain. We're part of a bigger region. And we're happy that we have other countries that always work with us. I hope I was able to shed some light on Tamkeen. Please feel free to ask any further questions later on.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. Thank you. I think I need to use this. Next up is Safa Abdel Khaliq. She is the head of the corporate planning department at Tamkeen. And I want to ask you, Safa, since you have been involved in analyzing the impact of Tamkeen's initiatives on the national economy, can you please highlight key statistics or key findings of the research that you have carried out?
Hello everyone. My name is Safa Abdel Khaliq. Do you need this? Just because I'm a person, I'm so glad that the mic is not working. I just hope I'm clear enough to pass my message to you guys. Great. I'm glad. My name is Safa Abdel Khaliq and I'm heading the corporate planning unit in Tamkeen, responsible for developing strategies and tactical plans to achieve Tamkeen's objectives in line with the national vision. As you guys are aware that Tamkeen
I don't think she wants to.
having a high impact to make a main engine of growth for the economy. And over the past 12 years, am I not clear? I really don't want to use the mic. So over the past 12 years, I really believe that we have had changed, the organization have had changed the dynamics of the private sector by empowering our two main segments, which are individuals and businesses. We have empowered them by providing them with different resources that were not available to the market, to the businesses and individuals before the existence of Tamkeen. And these resources have actually helped the entrepreneurs and individuals to achieve their plans, their progression plans and objectives through an array of tools and support that we've provided, be it grants, financing, coaching advisory platforms, and we have even introduced a new support platform, a stream of activity as part of our new strategy for 2018-20, which is basically investing in high potential projects. And just to shed light a little bit more on our impact on the economy, I'm very proud to say that as a single organization, we have injected more than $1.4 billion into the economy in the past 12 years to support individuals and businesses through 200 different initiatives. And as a single organization, again, we have served more than 125,000 125,000 individuals. We have touched the lives of 125 individuals, basically representing more than 40% of the private sector Bahraini workforce. And as a single organization, again, we have actually touched the lives and changed the dynamics of businesses in Bahrain, served more than 40,000 businesses that basically represents around 53% of the active CRs in Bahrain. And as a single organization, again, we are very proud to say that we have contributed to more than 10,000 job opportunities in the economy. And as a single organization, again, I'm very proud to say that we have been responsible for increasing the number of new CRs in the economy by 54% ever since Tamkeen's existence. Not only that, but we've also supported to cut the cost of businesses by more than 50% in terms of them acquiring new technologies. We've supported the cost, 50% of the cost of them, for them to actually acquire new marketing services. We've provided them with access to professional consultancy services. Basically, we've also have had impact assessment reports that highlighted that those companies that have availed Tamkeen support have recorded an increase in the revenue and their income by 50%. Not only that, but I'm very proud to say that we have been recognized by many organizations for serving more than 50% of women in the economy. Basically, our customers are mostly women. And even Tamkeen, as a matter of fact, is run by 80% women, and we're very proud of that. So thank you. So women empowerment is very high on Tamkeen's agenda, where we have dedicated women empowerment strategies and programs to include women in entrepreneurship and include them in the labor market. And all these support venues basically have opened up new venues for Bahrainis and for individuals to invest in themselves, to enhance in their operations, to create the new Bahraini future. And thank you so much, and I really hope that I have given you an impact, a very high-level snapshot impact of what Tamkeen has done in the economy so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Safa, for giving us a bit of insight in terms of Tamkeen's impact on the national economy. Of course, Tamkeen is one of the leading organizations that will be awarded for GEC 2019. So hopefully we'll have time at the end of the session to see what are we hoping to expect. I'm sure all of you would be interested to know what we hope to achieve out of the GEC 2019 and what are the expectations from the event. Let me ask now Ms. Pakiza Abdurrahman, who is managing business development of ICT and startup. Can you please introduce us, give us an introduction about the Economic Development Board and the mandate, and maybe the business environment in Bahrain?
Let's do this. Okay. Okay. Hi everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, great. So my name is Pakiza, and I'm from the Economic Development Board. The Economic Development Board is the investment promotion agency for the Kingdom of Bahrain. Launched in 2000, back in 2000, chaired by His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince, the first Deputy Prime Minister. And is it? I can't hear myself. No, it's good. Okay. So what we do in the Economic Development Board is that we promote investment, inward investment to the country in 4 different sectors. As Ahmed mentioned earlier, the aim and the vision for the economy of Bahrain is to diversify from an oil-based economy into 4 main subsectors that are key for the Kingdom of Bahrain. They are manufacturing and logistics, tourism and leisure, with health and education being new sectors driving the economy of Bahrain into the future. There's ICT, where I belong to, where I work at, and the financial services. So given the future of ICT being an enabler for growth and for moving from an oil-based economy to a digital, knowledge-based economy, the focus for the ICT sector and the future trends that we're seeing is getting into cybersecurity, IoT, cloud-based solutions, and having Bahrain the vision for Bahrain is to become this hub, this centralized hub for talents in the region and for as a gateway for the larger Middle East market through our neighboring countries such as Saudi Arabia and the other GCC countries. So leading into that advancement and development, the future is with startups. Startups, we believe that they will lead the development and the innovation and the collaboration between different stakeholders, between government entities, between policies and reforms that need to be placed, different incubators and accelerators that should be put in place today to allow this vision to flourish. So a year and a half ago, an initiative called Startup Bahrain, which we can, I'm more than happy to share with you more information about it later on after this session. Startup Bahrain is a collaborative initiative led by the community to allow this Bahrain's position as a startup hub to take place. So we work very closely. Are you fine? Yeah? So we work very closely with community and different stakeholders such as Tamkeen, such as Ministry of Industry and Commerce, such as the e-government, to put together initiatives along with the community, along with the startups, Bahraini founders, international startups that aim to scale up their business into the future, into the neighboring countries as mentioned earlier, to set up in Bahrain and to go through the advantages and benefits that the country has to offer. I'll name a few just for your reference. In Bahrain, we allow for 100% foreign ownership. That is not the case in other neighboring countries where you have to operate from a free zone, and then if you want to expand and trade into the country, you will need a local partner. For the ICT sector, it is a liberal sector where you can own your business 100%. Bahrain scores 30 to 40% cost efficient when you want to set up your business or when you want to live in the business compared to the region. And we've got focused accelerators and incubators that were launched recently that come to us to serve the Middle East region, and they're set up in Bahrain. So we're actually open to welcoming international startups that are ready to scale to come and explore the country. For 6 to 8 weeks, there are programs into the IoT space that are open also for 3 to 4 months programs, and they're working very collaboratively with the corporate. So I would consider myself as an ecosystem builder. I work very closely with the startups. We have a lot of town hall meetings, a lot of initiatives to support them, to work on their challenges, to connect them with corporate partners and with other governmental entities that could support their growth. So that's in a nutshell. Thank you so much, and we can connect later on.
Thank you, Pakiza, for the information that you've shared with us. May I ask Sheikh Al-Fadil, who's the head of the SME development at the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. May I say I'm really proud of the women contribution within this panel. We have one of the strongest women here, a part of this panel, so we're really proud of that.
I'll try my best to just raise my voice. I'm not sure if it's okay or I have to use the mic.
You may use it, but can you just let us know more of your role at the SME development and the regulations that are existing here?
First of all, Hi everyone, just to give you a Snapchat about what's MICT role in Ministry of Industry, Commerce and Tourism to improve the startup and micro, small and medium enterprises ecosystem in the Kingdom of Bahrain. The SMEs Directorate has been initiated a year and a half back in order to facilitate and coordinate between all the stakeholders, all the efforts that the Kingdom of Bahrain is doing to improve the ecosystem and the performance of the small, micro and medium enterprises. So just to give you a hint, what is the definition of the micro, small, and medium enterprises? Bahrain, any company that starts from 0 employee to 100 employees. The government has. Let's give you just a snap. What does the economic parameters of this important sector to economic growth to the Kingdom of Bahrain? The SMEs represent 30% contribution to the Kingdom's GDP and over 69% of private sector employment and 8% of exports. We are working closely with our stakeholders through an initiative of the SMEs Development Board that has been initiated recently to coordinate all the efforts of the Kingdom to improve the ecosystem of the startups and SMEs. The stakeholders include Tamkeen, Bahrain Development Bank, BCCI, the Bahrain Chamber of Commerce, and the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. So the main initiatives that has been put in place for us to plan the future of the sector in the coming next 5 years through 5 important initiatives that will work to facilitate all the challenges those startups and SMEs are facing. The first is the access to finance, the second is the access to market, the third is streamlining business regulation, the fourth is the skills development, and the fifth is the fostering innovation within those small and medium enterprises. So if we want to speak about the regulation that the ministry has worked on, which is the first, the bankruptcy law, for us to help more startups and entrepreneurs to access the market without worrying to fail, and they can have a second chance to enter the market. We've reviewed the bankruptcy law to be put in place by the end of this year for entrepreneurs to be motivated more to have the free to access to markets. The second is the access to market, one of our most important initiatives this year that will be completed, which is Export Center, that we will asset with them the micro and the small enterprises to access market and international markets and to accelerate further growth. More initiative for the access to market is the subcontracting, or let's say business linkages. We are motivating the large enterprises to procure from those small and startup enterprises. So mostly we have over 17 initiatives that has been put in place in order to improve the sector, to improve their contribution to the gross domestic income from 30% to 40%. We have a challenging task, but we're sure that Bahrain is capable to host all those startups, micro and small enterprises, and to improve their performance in the local economy. ذكريني بعد شنو regulations. Yeah, so basically what we shall work on even further in the next few months, which is one of the most important initiative that we are working with Tamkeen and EDB, is the incubator accelerator activity that we have initiated last March 2017. Bahrain has right now over 20 incubators. We are working to have the incubator activity to attract international incubators, as well as to have local incubators that will focus on local entrepreneurs, create more jobs for Bahrainis, and improve innovation and foster innovation in the kingdom. So hopefully it was like a very general snap about what is our general strategy in the next 5 years, and hope to see you all in Bahrain next Gen 2019. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheikha. Last up, let's ask Ms. Lina Al-Alemi, who is the co-founder and managing director of 3BL Associates. She is one really active entrepreneur in Bahrain, involved in many initiatives. So can you just give us a brief about your business? I know that there's an exciting new initiative that you're currently working on, which diversity on board. So we'd like to also to shed light in terms of these areas. Okay, can you? Okay, can you? I'm gonna try this. Okay, this works, right?
Okay, so I love my job because I get to be a professional idealist. I basically help organizations, whether it's startups, corporates, government, any other organizations, international NGOs, create new business models that generate net positive value for society. And what I mean by that is not just profit, but people, planet, and profit. So it's generating a triple bottom line, which is what 3BL stands for. And Sheikh Rashid is gone now, but so he mentioned the Sustainable Business Award that he won. So one example of a project that 3BL worked on is actually setting up that award in Bahrain. So it was the first International Entrepreneurship Award, and because we were asked to set it up, we had the chance to actually insist that there would be a sustainable business category, because that is really important for the value of Bahrain and the sustainable development in the long term. If we were to work with a startup like Sheikh Rashid with Peninsula Farms, so he's already tackling a key sustainable development issue, which is with two things, water security and food security. But we would also look at what are the other layers of impact that you can add to that. So they need energy security because they're in the middle of the desert. So how could we look at using solar energy to generate clean energy? We would also look at how do you use agriculture to drive health. So you might know that in the Middle East, and particularly in the Gulf, we have some of the highest diabetes and obesity rates. Childhood obesity is some of the highest in the world. So how can we use what he does and farm and sustainable produce to actually drive health in a region that is really suffering from well-being? What is the impact of health and well-being on the economy? So the more that you have unhealthy individuals, the lower productivity you have at work. So there's a lot of different ripple effects of how one enterprise can actually impact a lot of different areas. We also work with INGOs. So one of our favorite clients has just been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. So they are an international NGO, one of the oldest peace-building organizations in the world. And like many NGOs, they rely on a donor model. So they have to fundraise, which takes away a lot of the valuable time they have from doing the work that creates the impact. So we worked with them on strategy to help them find a business model that generates revenues rather than them going and trying to get donors and fundraising and spending time doing that. The other half of what 3BL does is our Think Do Tank. So this is like our social innovation lab. It's where we come up with initiatives that might not be commercial in the beginning, but they're things that we think have value for society. And the one that Ida mentioned that we are about to launch in about a month is called Diversity on Board. So 580 years is how long it would take for the Middle East and North Africa to close the gender equality gap. Now in Bahrain, I have to say we're a lot more progressive than a lot of other Arab countries. And if I had to rank the sectors in terms of who has closed the gender equality gap the most, I would start with startups, followed by the private sector, then government, and then civil society. So we're launching an initiative to get more diversity on corporate, government, and non-profit boards. And the reason it's called Diversity on Board and not Women on Board is because we're not just looking at women. We're going to look at millennials, we're going to look at the differently abled, and other underrepresented groups that need to be on boards. Tying that into entrepreneurship, a lot of entrepreneurs and startups in the region don't have boards. They don't have advisory boards. For me personally, one thing that really helped our success is putting together a regional and international advisory board. So if any of you are in sustainability and you've heard of John Elkington, has anyone heard of him? So he's the guy that coined the term triple bottom line in 1995. He's on my advisory board. So by creating this pool of amazing talent in the region, we also hope that we can help startups tap into that pool to form their advisory boards and corporate boards that are actually going to help accelerate their success.
And
Excellent.
Thank you, Lina. Before I open the floor to you for any questions that you might have for us, let me tap into GEC 2019. So I'm sure most of you would want to know what are we hoping to see in Bahrain in GEC 2019, and what is Bahrain trying to achieve out of the Congress. So if anyone from Tamkeen would want to shed light, Safa?
I don't really want to say much because we've got lots of surprises lined up for you, and we prefer to keep it as a surprise so that you could visit us next year, honestly. But if I can touch base very briefly on this question, we have been following GEC activities, GEN activities and the Congress in specific for quite some time now, and we've been keeping track of what has worked and what has not over the past few years. Over the course of the years, I mean, we are now building on the success of the past events, taking into consideration the areas of improvement. And ever since, honestly, we've been awarded the bid, we have been building a strong, we've been building on our partnerships, building on these strong linkages, be it locally, regionally, or even on an international level, just to make sure that all the activities, we are designing the right activities, we are designing the right new projects, right initiatives, with diverse activities, basically, so that we could ensure that we are laying the right foundation for economic growth, not only for Bahrain, but even for the global ecosystem that will be visiting us next year. So stay tuned for lots of surprises next year, and I really hope to see you in Bahrain in 2019.
Thank you. Does anyone have another 5 minutes? Does anyone have any questions for our speakers? Anything that you would like, or even just to share insight? Please just raise your hand and I'll pass by to give you the mic. Yeah? All right. Thank you so much for joining us and for choosing this session. Note that tomorrow we're hosting a dinner just outside in the reception area at 6 o'clock. So please join us, and you'll have the chance to network more with us, and I hope to see you in Bahrain 2019 as well. Thank you so much.